Hey, hey, hey! How are you? Hopefully you can hear me okay and see me okay. And welcome to today's live stream. It's Sunday. Goodness me, don't they come round really quick these days? Yes, indeed they do. Let me first start by having a quick raise a glass to all of you. It's a Jack Daniel's glass, but it is alcohol-free beer. Cheers to everybody. Hope you're having a good evening. I hope you're having a good day, I should say, because a lot of you are in the States. I'm a little concerned that I can't see the chat, which is weird. Let me pop over to chat cam and say a big thank you straight off the bat to my brother Dan. He's not here tonight because he can't make the live show, but let's give him one of these anyway. Okay, now I'm seeing all the chat. How about that? That was really kind of you, Dan. Really, really kind of you, and very much appreciated. Never courted, but always appreciated. And here's to you, brother. Cheers, man. So, we've got some fun and games tonight to get through. You probably seen the title of the video, and I've got a really, really interesting story to tell you tonight. And we've also got some viewers' guitars, which hopefully you will enjoy as well. But first of all, as always, we'll dive on over, see who's here, and say a big hello to everybody. So, Bam Mozzie, great to see you, brother. And Trevor Locke, evening Mike, you bought Paul's signature off eBay? No, I didn't, mate, I didn't. We've got Death by Pile Driver, we've got Phil Squarer, we've got the Big G, how you doing, bro? Sean Hockey, you're up tonight, brother. You're in the viewers' guitars. Grumpy Mike, how you doing? Yetimatsi Nightcat, in fact you were the first in. I saw your comment from much earlier. We've got Mayhem, he says howdy. Well, howdy to you, Mayhem. And Alan Jackman, we've got the Lamb, there he is. We've got Tall Thin Kev, great to see you as well. William De Silva, great to see you. There he is, the Ben Coombs. How you doing, brother? And don't forget, Ben will be streaming live at 8 PM Eastern. I don't know who your guest is tonight, but perhaps you can shout it out for us, Ben. We got Terry Tickler. Hey, man. BC Rich 581. I think I've done William De Silva. I did not do my buddy Hugh Caldwell. Great track you did this week, my friend. That version of Ave Maria was beautiful. We've got Fret Hustler. Hello again, mate. Loving the channel. Loving the fact that you're here, bro. So thank you so much. Seems like every 7 days. Yeah. Bouncing Betty. Hey, how you doing? Hopefully that's my brother Tonio. Hopefully. Or it doesn't matter who it is. Great to see you in, guys. We've got Blackjack Guitar. Woo! Hey CGS, Roxy Raid, cheers. Rax Effects, good to see you. John ZD351, great to see you. Andrew Flint, hey, how you doing? Mayhem, I think I already said hello to you, but I'll say hello again. Oh, brilliant, like that, Trevor. Yep, we're all loving the Bouncing Betty tracks. I've done 2 of their premieres now and really love that band. Check them out if you haven't already. We got Ole Hansen from rainy, cold Denmark. Well, it's quite bright here and I'm not getting used to this whole idea of having it light while I'm doing my live stream. It's weird. Not penned by a Chinese chap with a penchant for calligraphy. No, my friend, no. I will tell you all about it, all in good time. Dennis Pointer, good to see you. Let me see, who else have I got? Have I said hello to William De Silva? If I had, I'm sorry. Brad Guitar Miller. Hey, brother. You've been busy shipping out fret rockers today. Wow, man. Awesome. Put a link. Ben's got Michael B joining him tonight. That'll be fun. Nice one. Hugh, I did say hello to. CJ, there he is. Oh, sorry, Brad. CJ, good to see you, brother. Excellent. Terry's 3Gs. Hey, man, great to see you. He says, Cupid Graham sucks. Well, I don't know what that means, but hey, I'll take that. Music therapy, Laz. You were just streaming. I didn't have time tonight. I have to confess, brother, I have been working on 2 videos for this week because I've finally been able to go back to doing some of the theatre training that I do, and I've got a full-on week this week of a theatre workshop. Admittedly, socially distanced, being very careful and all that good stuff, but I'm actually working this week. So I've done one of my videos already for Friday, and look out for Friday's video because it's a very special offer just for you guys. And I've been trying to work on a video for Tuesday as well as the 1 minute short for Thursday morning, but hey, I'll get there. I'll make sure it happens. I won't let you guys down, you know that. So yeah, it's been a really busy week, and I was still working on it literally minutes before the live stream, and so here I am. But I missed your live show tonight, MTL, but I'm really sorry. I normally lurk in your live stream while I'm getting ready for this, but yeah, it's been pretty. Yes, I know, Terry. Terry's saying it's the initials thing. Yeah, but I didn't quite get what the initials were, man. But thank you for doing that. Thank you. Yeah, it is great news, XMG12. Good to see you, man. Yeah, I'm really Does male table dancing count as theatre work? If so, then I'm an artist also. That's BC Rich 581. Love it. You guys are out there trying to make me chuckle, aren't you? Hey, Janice. Good to see you. Really good to see you. MTL, that's dude, I always try to catch your live stream when I can, and yeah, it's just that I've been so flat out trying to get ready for this week. Really excited. Thank you so much, Phil. Really appreciate that. Awesome. BC Rich 581 says CGS needs to do an effects pedal musical like JHS did. maybe, who knows, we could do that. CJ says, Mike, I've just added a guitar to the collection, waiting for it to arrive. A very beautiful Edwards Les Paul quilted top. Got this thing for Japanese guitars nowadays. Wow. Okay, man, well, that sounds like that's going to be a lot of fun. Gussie Wells. Wow, haven't seen you for a long time. Great to see you, brother. Really good to see you. We got some people in tonight, haven't we? So yeah, we have got a little story about how I came about an autograph for Paul McCartney. Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit of the background of my absolute love of Paul McCartney, because most of you know that I am the hugest Beatles fan, and I've always been the biggest fan of Paul. Paul's always been my favourite Beatle. Everybody, I don't know if you've ever seen that video where, I forget who it was, I was watching it the other day, they asked Lennon or McCartney. Mine has always been McCartney. Now, I'm not a big fan of my own name. My grandfather named me, and I've never been a big fan of my name, and as a kid I always used to say to my parents, why didn't you name me Paul? And that's because I've always been a real fan of Paul McCartney. So to actually get hold of one of his autographs, and I'll tell you all about it a little bit later in the stream. I'm not gonna not going to spoil that just yet. But needless to say, it has been a lifelong ambition, and the way that it came to me is also particularly nice. So I will tell you all about that, but we have first got a bit of a big old viewers guitars tonight. I'll get there in a minute. I'm stumbling over my words. My brain is on the Paul McCartney track now, and that's all I can think about. I'm just seeing who else is coming in. Graham Campbell, good to see you. Gussie Wells is a big Beatles fan as well. Call me China Paul. Love it. Yeah, actually you could, couldn't you? So yeah, we'll do all that. Let's have a look. What am I doing? Go to chat cam. CJ says Paul McCartney didn't like his name either, hence why he called himself Paul. He's actually called James Paul. There you go. There you go, brother. So, well, we both like the name Paul, and one of the things that I've always found with the Beatles, and I just feel that every single track that I really love is either written by Paul McCartney or George Harrison. And don't get me wrong, I'm a huge John Lennon fan as well. I love John Lennon, and I really like a lot of his writing. But I always like the ones that Paul wrote, and generally he sung his own numbers. And yeah, Paul's brother is a Mike. There you go. The Lamb is a huge Beatles fan as well. Let me just go back over to there. There we go. Huge Beatles fan, although John was my fave. Oh, I'm not going to spit at you, man, but yes, absolutely, Terry, and welcome in tonight. Hey, Dave. Sorry, it was Dave Lewis. Hey, man, how you doing? Got some guitars for you tonight. Grumpy Mike, you go by your middle name. I didn't even go by my name, brother. But there we are. Yeah. Alan Jackman, how could you say that? Yeah, I know what you mean. I'm a big fan of the Stones as well. Never quite as much as the Beatles. I always absolutely adored the Beatles, and I've been the biggest fan from the earliest time. And so, yeah, we will get to it. I promise you, we will get to it. Let's not do too much on this just yet. Maybe I'm amazed. Maybe I'm amazed by the things that you do. Yeah, absolutely. I'm not a singer. Let's have a look. What else? Ben also goes by his middle name. There we go. So, do you want to share what your first name is, Ben? Don't feel you have to. Don't feel that that's a thing you have to do. But if you want to. Hey, Aaron! Hello, you beautiful man. It's lovely to see you, brother. Really good to see you. Bad Lozzie says the song is just 7 words long. This song is just 7 words long. My favourite Beatle was... Oh, Andrew. Really? You should be ashamed of yourself. Oh, Lamb, thank you so much, brother. That is really, really sweet. Yeah, I do. I need to buy a hanky. I do apologise. Let me give you one of those. Let me grab a drop of this. I haven't got a runny nose. I've got an itchy nose. For some reason, I've had this really bad itch all week up this one nostril, and I think not that you really want to know, but I'm going to tell you anyway. I think I've got one hair that's been like bent or something's happened to it, and it just keeps on itching the side of my nose. So it's not that I've got a runny nose or I'm blocked up or anything like that. It's literally, it tickles like crazy. Right, let's go back and see what you're saying. Missed one there. So thank you so much for that. The Lamb, very, very kind. Really appreciate it. I won't buy a hanky. I'll probably put it towards the next guitar fund. Thank you. Trevor Locke says, my favourite band, Barclay James Harvest, a song called Titles. It's all Beatles song titles made up into a song. I will give that a listen. He says it's brilliantly written. Excellent. Sean Hockey says, Mike, please give a shout out to my band, Scott, Johnny, Jay, and me, Sean. Thanks, brother. Well, hey, Scott, Johnny, Jay, and Sean. I don't know what the band name is because you don't tell me, but hey, good to have you on board, guys. Are you all watching together? Are you in the middle of a band rehearsal, waiting to see Sean's guitars, perhaps? But hello. Yeah. Let me see. Adam D. Sup? How you doing? Great to see you. CGS. Favourite Beatles album. Now, I have a favourite Beatles album, but it's not, strictly speaking, a proper Beatles album because it was the first that I was ever bought, and it's what got me into the Beatles in the first place. We went up to Portobello Road Market when I was probably, I'm going to say about 7, which is the age that my son is at the moment, so I should really try getting him into the Beatles. And we went up and there was a record store there, and my dad bought me the LP of the Red album, the Red double album, which was the Beatles from 1962 to 1964. There was a later one which was the Blue album, which was Beatles best of 1964 to 67, I think. But that very first album has to be my favourite. It was the first one I had, and I used to listen to that constantly. My uncle Bruce, well, he's not actually my uncle, but Bruce, one of our family friends, gave me a really, really old lift up top record player, and I used to literally, that thing didn't come off of that record player for literally years. I used to listen to it all the time. So that would be my favourite Beatles album. But I have to say, I was a big Rubber Soul and Revolver, sort of the mid-period Beatles. I was a big fan of that, and I also loved and adored, in fact, yeah, I think I'm going to go there. I think I'm going to say that Help also was one of my favourite Beatles albums. The early stuff was absolutely great, really poppy, really, really commercial. But I liked all that transition period. They were doing some sort of a mix-up between poppy and psychedelic and changing it up. By the time they got to Sgt. Pepper and the White Album and the later stuff, yeah, I still loved it and I still listened to it. But I'm really kind of that middle period I really, really love. So hopefully that's a long and drawn out but honest answer for you there, man. Let me dive down. Janice there saying that she likes Ringo. Where was that? I missed. Where are we? Janice, I like Ringo because I sing and play the song Matchbox. There we go. Itchy Nostrils. Yes, thank you, Ben. Definitely. Zach Thong. Hey, man, good to see you. Really good to see you. And sorry if anybody else I haven't shouted out. Rhodey's Jam Cave. Wow. And Death by Pile Driver, Abbey Road, there you go, another one. And Revolver, yeah, there we are. See, I think I'm in good company here, guys. Revolver, Rubber Soul, Abbey Road, all that period, that middle period. Thanks, Ben Mozzie. Yeah, please, actually, guys, can I ask you a big favour? I'm going to go and have a quick look now. I want to do a little bit of a shout out to my buddy Randy Schartiger, because he's a channel I've watched for ages and ages and ages, and he put out a video this week and I think he's feeling a little bit low. I know he's not in tonight, but he has been having some issues, feeling that the algorithm's being rubbish to his channel. So if you get a chance, go on over and say that I sent you, and go over there and put a comment on one of his videos. But what I want to try tonight, I know at the minute there's 59 of you watching and 19 likes. What I'd really like to try is to see how much the likes make a difference, because it should be likes and comments and all that good stuff that push these videos up and get them watched a bit more. So I would really appreciate it if you guys would throw a few more likes in, or quite happily, if you prefer, a dislike. It doesn't matter, it's just engagements. I really like to see if it pushes the videos up. Excuse me. I'm getting a bit gassy again now. So yeah, if you can, doesn't matter which, if you're enjoying the content, give me likes and thumbs up. If you're not, give me some thumbs down. I don't mind. You do whichever you prefer. But I just want to see if it actually makes a difference, because I'm going to try and help Randy out as well. And I'm going to give him a shout on his channel. But if you guys can give him a shout, if you're not already subbed to him, he's a lovely guy. He does mainly acoustic guitar repairs, but he's absolutely crazy and he's hilarious and he's lovely. So if you haven't checked him out yet, please go over and do that. That's 2 things off my list that I wanted to make sure I told you tonight. There we go. Oh, bless you, man. That's so kind, Grumpy Mike. Bless you. He says, for the tone jar or a pint, your choice as always, and why not? Cheers. Well, cheers, brother. We've got a different colour tonight as well. Hang on a minute, what's going on there? I'm so sorry. Cheers, brother. And a very kind tip, and I appreciate it. Always appreciate it. Never courted. Yeah, that's really kind. Bless you, brother. And why not, as you always put. You're too kind to me, mate. You really are. So, we ought to do a little bit of the viewers' guitars first, didn't we? Tony Smith is asking, what do I think of Paul McCartney's bass playing? I think he's one of the best and most original early bass players. I'm with you on that as well, brother. I totally agree. His ear for tune and harmony feeds through onto his bass, most certainly, and he is an amazing player. Sorry, I'm realising I'm not on that, which I should be on. Well, let me see if there are any more CGSs. If you want to shout me out like Guinness 780, please put the @CGS at the front and then I'll stop on it and see it. Otherwise, I'll just assume that you're talking to each other. He says, good evening, bro, from Cleethorpes. Well, good evening to you in Cleethorpes. Lovely to have you here, my friend. Absolutely lovely to have you. I'm just checking. There don't appear... Oh, sorry. Wow. I must have skipped right down past a load of stuff then. Let me go to the next CGS. Sorry, I'm bouncing you about a bit. Tony Smith says, why do you think so many great bands came out of Liverpool in the early 60s? Beatles, Searchers, Jerry and the Pacemakers, etc. Do you know, I think that when there is a collective in a town, it's like Sheffield was another one in the 80s, wasn't it? And 70s, and obviously Birmingham as well. When you think back to the likes of Black Sabbath and the bands that came out of Birmingham, I think once you get a bit of an established music scene, it raises everybody else's game, and also they get to hear that music locally first, and so they all kind of borrow a little bit from it. So I think that's probably why it was, man. Let me see. Terry Tickler says, amazing choices. I hope that's about my Beatles albums. Thank you. Hugh Caldwell says, bought the big Beatles guitar songbook when I was a teenager. I have that exact thing. It's a cream coloured book with a big round gold disc on the front of it. It's got every single Beatles number in it, and I always play it. One that I sing with my buddy Andy, who was my best man. We do the Here, There and Everywhere. And funny enough, I was listening to a Paul McCartney interview the other day, and it's his favourite Beatles song as well. So there you go. How about that? Paul and I also share the same favourite Beatles track. Tall Thin Kev saying, I'm sending Randy my last Chibson. He had the first two. Right, okay, man, brilliant. So he's doing some work on that, is he? Excellent. Well, you can't find anybody better to do work, although I'm surprised he wants to do a Chibson, but there we are. We've got Blackjack Guitar saying, been watching Randy's channel for years. Cheers. Well, really, really appreciate that, brother. Thank you so much for just going over there, giving him some love and saying I sent you, because I've given him some love and he knows I love him, but you know, it really helps, and he's such a nice guy, and this community is such a nice community. If you haven't checked him out, Randy Schartiger is absolutely lovely. Thank you for supporting that, guys. Really appreciate it. Let me see, what else have we got? We've got Tony Smith saying, Mike, the great thing about the Beatles is many of their songs are easy to learn. They are indeed. Simpler the better. I've always said, and I think this might have been either John or George, but if you can't play it on an acoustic guitar or a piano and it stand up in its own right, then it ain't really a song. And that's the one thing about all the Beatles songs, is they stand up in their own right. You can play them on an acoustic guitar or just on a piano and voice, and they rock, and that's what it's all about. Let me see, any more CGSs? Sorry, I'm bouncing you around a bit here. Guitar Hack! Woohoo! How you doing, brother? So good to see you. Excellent, you're in. Mike, you intended to visit McCartney's this week in Haywards Heath now that non-essential shops can open. No, man, because I'm working this week. Yay! But I will be getting there as soon as I can. The Lamb says, found one of my old bands has a profile on the Cavern Club website today. That's the closest I'll ever get to the Beatles. Very surprised to see it. Well, that is awesome, man. Really awesome. Whoa, bless you. Big G, what are you doing? Bless you, my friends. He says, congrats on going back to work, brother. Skull. Well, I'm going to give you one of those. And what's more, I'm going to drink the rest of this now. That's so kind. Cheers, man. That's very, very kind. I am so excited. It is only a week of work, but a week of work after, it's almost a year, isn't it? It's better than nothing. So cheers, man. Thank you so much. And that was to your good health, brother. Thank you, Gary. Really, really kind. I so appreciate that. Okie dokie. Oh, man. Ed Dana. There he is. Our Beatles songbook was a big black book. I remember passing several copies around over the years. I wish I had one now. Yeah, wow. Okay, I don't remember a big black one. There might have been not the complete Beatles. So there was a Beatles Easy Play guitar book that I remember had a black cover and lots of illustration on it. So maybe that's the one you're thinking of. Tall Thin Kev, I gave Randy my Chibsons. There you go. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Oh my goodness, there's lots of CGSs, isn't there? Sorry, I'm just catching up. I'm nearly there. Tony Smith, what do you think of the Ruttles? I think they're hilarious. Oh, sorry, I'm on the wrong camera. You recently won a Glary electric guitar from Randy's channel. There you go, Blackjack Guitar. See, you're a fan, and he is a good guy. He really is. Grumpy Mike said, almost forgot to say congrats on getting back to work. I know how much that means to you. It really does, brother, and I am, well, I'm just really excited. I can't wait to work with the youngsters again and start doing some teaching, because we're going to have a lot of fun. Basically what we do is we get together with a small group of youngsters, and in 1 week from 10 a.m. till 4 p.m. every day we work together and we write a complete musical normally, and I do all the parts and record all the instruments and stuff, and then we usually perform it in the theatre on the Friday for all their friends and family and all that good stuff. But because of lockdown, the last year in the summer, we made a 50-minute film, which was great. And in fact, over the lockdown period, we did 4 films with the youngsters. So that was all good, but a lot of it was socially distanced. Whereas this week it's gonna be together, which is absolutely awesome. Absolutely. Hey, Scotty J, finally made it into a live. How are you? Well, I'm good. How are you, brother? I hope you're really well. Great to see you in. Really good to see you in. Hugh Caldwell says the tribute band Beatlemania are great live. Awesome. Are they in the UK or US? Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I am excited. Ed Dana says it was the complete Beatles. Oh, well, I stand corrected, man. It could be that you had an American version, so it might have had a different cover, man. Dave Lewis says, I was given Brian Wilson's guitar, Burt Whedon's, BW's, guitar play in the day book in the early 60s and still using it. Yeah, Burt Whedon, now he was a one, wasn't he? Absolutely. A lot of people had that. Oh, sorry, let me get that. Mike, the Beatles helped popularise Rickenbackers like Hendrix popularised Fender Strats. Rickenbacker gave George his 12-string Rick and Paul the Rick bass free. Best bit of marketing ever. They also, if you remember back from my Vox amps, Jennings gave them all their backline, absolutely, and they signed them up to an exclusive contract, and that made Vox amps, and that's still why we have the AC15 and AC30s around today. And of course the big, I think it was the AC45 as well, wasn't it? So yeah, they were one of the first bands that were properly sponsored. Let me dive. Have I missed any? Have I? I haven't. We're nearly there. Guitar Man 45. Hey, how you doing, bro? Right, I think I'm gonna check. Let's see how many have we got in. 60 of you viewing, 31 likes. Come on, do me a favor, guys. Just push those likes up a little bit, or the dislikes if you prefer. I just want to get that and see if it works so that I can pass it on to Randy as well. Okay, right, what we're going to do now is we're going to dive into viewers' guitars. Let's go and take a little look. Okay, first up again tonight is Stu with a couple of lovely Harley Bentons. We've got this first one, which is a black and gold, which looks very nice, and it looks like he's put himself a decent case for it as well. And then the second that he's showing us this week is this nice sunburst, cherry red sunburst by the looks of it, again in a very nice, what looks like an SKB sort of case. Well, thanks for sending those in this week, Stu. Next tonight, Sean has very kindly shared his collection with us, and we start off with this really nice Yamaha bass, and he's also sent us a picture of his Ibanez S series, and that's a really pretty looking guitar. Third up, we've got this really nice green Esquire Strat in Sherwood green, and he says it's a lovely guitar. After that, we've got this Ibanez RG, and he says this has got a super fast neck. I love the colouring, and I love the top on that guitar and the matching headstock as well. And I'm also a big fan of blonde fingerboards, as you know. Next up, he says there's an Epiphone Les Paul Standard Pro, but the picture of that unfortunately is missing. So what we actually have next is this BC Rich Warlock Mick Thompson signature guitar, and that is one of your typical metal style guitars. I looked at one of those when I was 18 and I was in Florida, and we went to a music store and I pestered my parents, but we didn't buy it, so there we go. Next up, he's got a Jackson Warrior as well, another metal looking guitar. This looks like it's got string through, and very nice indeed. Next up, he's got a Maestro SG single pickup, a very, very tasty looking bit of kit, followed by another Maestro, which is the acoustic version, and these are made, I believe, by Gibson. And then a classic Martin Road Series Special, which is absolutely beautiful, and it looks to me like it's a Koa type body on this, but I could be wrong. I'll stand to be corrected. And then finally, his baby Solar G-Star 7-string guitar, which he absolutely adores. He says that the Evertune bridge is absolutely amazing. And finally, he has shared a panoramic picture of his studio and loving the look of the bar. Great rehearsal space there with the drum kit and the guitars, and somewhere to have a drink while you're between tracks. So thanks again so much, Sean, for sharing these with us this week. Next up we have Monty, and he has sent me photos of the new to him 1989 Fender Japan Strat ST365Fs. Originally he bought the Made in Japan Strat to upgrade with JBE vintage Strat pickups and a Graphtec Piezo Floyd Rose. So we're going to poll. Everybody let us know whether you would leave it stock or slam in the Joe Barden vintage pickups, and whether or not you'd leave it with or without the Piezo Ghost system equipped Floyd Rose. He's also trying to decide if he wants to change the pick guard to tortoise or something like the Freight Train Silhouette, or something similar to this etched lightning pick guard, which looks really, really nice. At the moment, the 335S is on layaway, and it appears to have one pickup changed in the neck. He bought this the same week that he purchased the Strat, and it is a 1980 Gibson Firebrand 335S. It's standard all maple Gibson with Tim Shaw patent number pickups, and he's included both in case I would like to show them both, so I definitely have. Let us know what you think, and whether you would change up that 1989 Strat, in which way you would do it, or whether you'd leave it alone. Finally tonight, Andy has been in touch with me to say he couldn't understand why anybody would buy a Gibson when you could get a Les Paul Studio tribute like this one that he picked up for $375. He used to be a bass player and played in a few bands, but life catches up and he got a girlfriend and a full-time job, so basically stopped playing. About 18 months ago he got a 50 quid Yamaha acoustic on New Year's Eve and made it his New Year's resolution to play, and he's a bit of a keen bargain hunter, so he's bought and sold so many guitars and working the way up to the guitars he has now. With him playing a lot, he thought it'd be fun to get an electric, so the search began on Facebook and Gumtree, and usually brings up the best bargains, so he was tempted by a couple of PRS SEs and basically loads of other guitars, and then boom, top of his pick on Facebook Marketplace was this Gibson Les Paul 50s tribute, 350 quid. He messaged the guy and who apologised and said he'd underpriced it and put the price up to 400. I said that's okay, fine, and he was only the other side of town, so he took a trip over to look at it, and he eventually ended up getting it for £375. He also managed to pick up this Pacifica Yamaha for 30 quid, which he says really takes him back to his teen years. He just can't understand why anybody would buy a crapson, as he calls it, off AliExpress with the guitar purchase cost and VAT added. There's only £90 difference between a genuine Gibson and a fake. The Gibsons may look pretty, but they don't seem to play or sound right. If it's for wall decoration, then maybe pass. But a functional musical instrument, I'd rather hit the stage with my £30 Yamaha Pacifica, and with the amazing, interesting guitars that can be had for less. I wonder why on earth anybody would bother. So he's also sent a little shot of a replica Gibson he's also seen on Facebook that's being sold for a staggering £600, which I think is pretty disgusting. And the final photos of him and his friend Graham busking in Norwich back in the day. And he said if I could give him a shout out, that would be great. His YouTube channel is Graham Stacey Music, and it's mostly just him playing extracts with some covers and originals. So there you go, Andy, I've mentioned both, and thanks so much for showing us that Les Paul, which, yeah, you're absolutely right. If you can get it just below the price of a real Gibson, then why would you buy a fake? So there we have it, and I really hope you enjoyed that tonight, and thanks to everybody that sent them in. If you would like me to cover your guitars, then just send them to chinaguitarskeptic@gmail.com. That link is in the description down below, and I'll show them, because we are a community and that's what it's all about. So a big thank you to Stu, to Sean, to Monty and to Andy tonight. And there's a bit of feedback for you there. Grumpy Mike says dump the Floyd. That was going back to the Strat. Yes, there are lots of non-licensed guitar copies that I approve of. The only thing I don't approve of is the fakes with the trademark infringing bits on their headstock. Everything else, as far as I'm concerned, if it's legal, is good and fair game. What do I think of relicking? Ask everybody else what I think of relicking. I really do not like it that much. Andrew Flint says, change it if you want, but keep everything, yeah. The Lamb says, wouldn't touch it. There you go. Yeah, I know. $375 for that Gibson. Yeah, absolutely. It's a steal, isn't it? I would leave the Strat as it is, Dave Lewis says. So most people saying for you there, Sean, that you'd leave it as it is, man. William De Silva says it looks a lot like his Black Les Paul. Sean says, thanks so much. Can't believe Gibson Les Paul didn't show up, but oh well, next time. Send it to me, man, and I'll tack it on to the next one. Not a problem, brother. Really isn't. Did I see my brother, Mr. Q, turn up? Quentin, good to see you, man. Tony Smith says, Mike, is it worth paying 10k for a guitar? I was thinking of the recent Gibson Custom Shop Hendrix SG and Flying V reissues. I'll give you my short answer. No. Okay. It's a very I can't do that to you, can I? It's a very wide subject. It's a very wide topic. There are special appointments on guitars. We did this whole thing in the video the other week on Are You a Guitar Snob? And we're going to come back as soon as that reaches 100 people responding to that. And at the moment it's on 96. So don't be surprised if that might be next week's video or live stream feature. That's what I'm looking for. And yeah, but I think if a guitar, it's a very subjective thing. If you've got 10 grand that it means nothing, or that you've got enough money that 10 grand isn't a huge amount of money, and you adore a guitar or you have it made for you, then no, it's not too much. It's all relative to how much you can afford to spend on a guitar. But is a guitar actually worth 10 grand? Can you put 10 grand's worth of material into a guitar? Well, I saw a few. I saw one at NAMM and also one at Disneyland, believe it or not, which was absolutely filled with jewels. So you can bling a guitar up so that it is worth that much, but really not for me. There we are. Big long answer as well. Can you say hello to my little bird, Emmett? He digs your channel. Quentin, of course I can. Emmett, it's lovely. I'm so glad that you enjoy the channel, Emmett. Next thing you know, well, I don't mind at all. I talk to Roxy all the time. So I'm quite happy to say, hello, Emmett. Love it. Yeah, there you go. Grumpy Mike saying, no. Yeah, absolutely. Andrew Flint says, if the guitar is a great player, it's a player. But if it looks pretty and plays like rubbish, then it's rubbish. Good shout, my friend. Good shout. Hell, that was Hell's No from Q. Tony Smith, Mike, do you use a whammy bar very much? I love the way Hendrix and Van Halen used it. Do you know what? I used to all the time because Eddie was one of my biggest influences, and I used to do all of that stuff when I was writing in different bands that I wrote for. Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, my PRS Torero has got a Floyd on it. My Jackson Soloist had a Floyd on it. My Charvel Model 3DR had a Floyd on it. Bastard, the guitar I made, had a Floyd Rose 1000 on it that I put on it. And so I was always into all that. But recent times, it's been strange. I've just got into fixed bridge stuff and starting to make the fingers work a little bit more. So not as much as I used to, mate. Let me see. Pete Brown's just sticking his head in the door to say, hey. Hey, brother. Great to see you, man. Really good to see you. Quentin didn't spend 10k on his car, and it's got AC and a CD player, air conditioning. There you go. Now, I know that Bam Mozzie will have an answer. He says, a guitar can be worth much, much more to you than its price and can bring you immense pleasure over a lifetime and beyond. Cost per hour of joy can be tiny, even for guitars costing 10k or more. Absolutely. I do agree with that, Bam Mozzie, because if you can afford it, and some people can afford it, and if it brings you joy, even the cheapest little Glary guitar, if it brings you joy and you want to play it and you want to pick it up and it makes you play, then how can you put a price on that? And especially people that play an awful lot, then obviously the cost per hour or cost per minute goes down. But I hear where you're coming from, and I feel that sentiment. Personally, wow, actually, now that I say it, I actually did buy a guitar that was over 10 grand, but I didn't pay that for it because it was the Phil-X XG that was real sentimental value to me, that because I played it at GitCon, so did Phil-X and so did so many other people in so many videos. And when I found out I could get it, and the fact that Framus very, very kindly gave me an extraordinary discount down to the point where I could afford it, I spent a fair bit of money on that guitar. In fact, I can tell you right now, I have never spent that much on a guitar, and it was you guys that bought that guitar for me, because what I did is I used all of the YouTube revenue that I had up until that point to buy that guitar. And I don't regret it. It is a real sentimental value to me. I don't play it because I worry about breaking the strings, because they're still the same strings that we played at GitCon and that Phil-X played. So yeah, I take the point. I take the point entirely, brother. I really do. Right, I've got to dive through some of these comments now because we won't get to my story otherwise. Mike, are locking tuners gimmicks? No, they're certainly not. They're very, very useful. If you get a good set, they really can prolong the life of the strings and make your tuning an awful lot more stable. So no, they're not a gimmick. If you get a cheap set, knockoff, or not a very good set, then they can just pinch the strings and break them, and no, they're not so good. But as with some things and a lot of things, you get what you pay for. They are definitely something where you pay a little bit extra and you do get some good locking tuners, but they're not a gimmick, no. Right, hopefully one more question. There we go. Tony Smith, you love asking me questions, brother, and I love having you here to ask me these questions. Mike, is there an optimum headstock neck angle for tuning stability? Right. You want a neck angle, let me get this right, that breaks, I can't even do it, that breaks enough that it tensions the strings, but you don't want it so steep that it turns the strings and makes a weak point at the nut. And the more important thing, as far as I'm concerned, if you look back on the CMG guitars that I did this week, it's most important that the strings go through parallel through the nut and to the tuning pegs. And if you can get that right, that's much more important than the break angle of the headstock. You do need a bit of an angle, or if you like Fender, you drop it down and then put string trees in the top 2 strings or top 4 strings, or you get graded tuning pegs that get smaller as you go down the headstock. But yes, definitely there is an optimum. Yes, it was absolutely worth every penny to me and still brings me a lot of pleasure and memories. Yep, you're right. I've so thought about doing that so many times, Mike. I really have, but not yet. So should you get PRS locking tuners for your PRS SE? Do you know what? PRS are renowned for locking tuners, and I have to say I've got 2 PRS SEs and I haven't swapped them out because the tuning stability is fab. But I think it would be really nice to have a set of lockers on it. But that's one thing I would like to save up for over time. I would dearly, dearly like a core guitar. But PRS core guitars are way out of my price range just now. Right, last question, and then we're going to do my little story for you. Tony Smith, Mike, do you gig with expensive guitars? If so, how do you keep them safe from damage or theft? Well, as I've just said, my most expensive guitar now is the XG, and I don't honestly think I would gig with that, purely because of the sentimental value, not because of the financial value in the guitar. However, every other guitar I've ever bought, no matter what the budget is, I always take my best guitar with me when I'm playing live. I want to enjoy it and I want to perform to the best of my ability, and the best way to do that is to take your favourite guitar with you. Sometimes my favourite guitars haven't been the most expensive, but when they have been, for example, my PRS SE, I love this guitar. Let me give you a wider view of that. I absolutely adore this guitar. It's a limited edition of 100 with the, I think it was an anniversary series, a custom anniversary series. I can't read the back because I'm being blinded by my lights. But that gigs out with me whenever I gig out. And so I think it's important to play what you love. Right, I'm going to tell you my story because we've only got 7 minutes left, and I think you're going to like what I've done. Now, you might remember a few weeks ago I told you guys that I very sadly lost my Uncle Terence, and in fact we did a whole stream about me losing Uncle Terence. Well, back in 1975 he was working in a casino in London as a croupier. He had so many different jobs and so many different strings to his bow, but who should turn up to the casino where he was working other than the whole of Wings? Now it was 1975 and they were just recording Junior's Farm, and when they came in he struck up a conversation and he said that Paul was probably the nicest guy he'd met in years. He was really friendly. Now I've had this story so many times since I was a small kid, really, you know, from when I was into the Beatles at 7. I've literally heard the story. I was 7 in 1978. So it was 3 years before I heard the Beatles. And what my Uncle Terence did was he asked Paul to sign an autograph for his wife, my Auntie Carol. Now, both my Auntie Carol and her sister, which is my mum, were both really, really into Paul McCartney as well. So that's why Uncle Terence got him to sign an autograph for Auntie Carol. But what's more, he also got Paul McCartney to telephone my mum, because he's often said that he sees him up there and speaks to him, and asked my mum what would she do if Paul McCartney was on the other end of the phone, and my mum said she would just scream. So he actually made Paul McCartney telephone my mum. But here's the rub, and it's hilarious. She was out. She was out. But Uncle Terence did get a lovely autograph for my Auntie Carol. And when Uncle Terence passed a few weeks ago, we were all given the opportunity to choose something from his place to remind us of him, because he helped out his side of the family. He had a blood relative that the house and everything else went to, and so we just all got to choose one thing that we would like. And because it's to my Auntie Carol, who was my blood relative, and because I am the biggest fan of Paul McCartney, that was what I asked for. And I got it in a little frame along with a few Junior's Farm stickers and bits that Paul had given my Uncle Terence at the same time. And it was in a very, very small frame, a very old frame. But I have since very, very delicately taken it out and put it into a new frame so that it can go on the wall of my studio. And I'm going to share it with you right now, because here is my Paul McCartney autograph. I've popped a little picture of Paul in there as well that I've done. And these were the little cards that Paul McCartney gave to my Uncle Terence. There's Junior's Farm, a black and white Junior's Farm, and a slightly bigger Junior's Farm. I'm going to try and give you a closer up on the chat cam of this autograph, because I have never seen that smiley face before. And it says, "To Carol, all the best, gal, Paul McCartney," and that smiley face. So that is how I come to get Paul McCartney's autograph. And this will be my most prized possession. This will never leave my side. And in fact, I will pass this on down to my children as well, because I'm just the biggest ever Beatles fan and the biggest ever Paul McCartney fan. I would so dearly love just one opportunity to meet Paul McCartney in my life. I don't know that it will ever happen, but if it did, it would absolutely make my day, make my year, make my decade. But hopefully you like what I've done with this and like what I've done with the frame. And this is going to go on the wall and take pride of place in my studio now, because I just feel so lucky to have this. I really do. So there it is. That's how I came to get Paul McCartney's autograph. And yeah, really, really delighted to have it. It was the one thing I asked for from my Uncle Terence's estate, and it means absolutely the world to me. It's signed to my auntie, and I've remembered the story since I was about 8 years old. And there you are. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. It looks like a few of you have enjoyed it. Guitar Hack saying it's very cool. Lots of people saying it's very cool. There we go. That's Guitar Hack. Very cool. Tony Smith, have I had it valued? No, and I won't bother having it valued. It really doesn't matter. It's a little bit like we were talking about with the guitar earlier. We were talking about that Phil X XG. There is no value to that. There is no value to this. It means so much more. I could never ever get rid of it, so I don't even want to know what it's worth. Rounds of applause there, thank you. Trevor Locke enjoyed the story. Very cool, nice story, thank you. Very beautifully put together. Should get a video frame to put with you telling that story. Ah, what a nice idea, bless you. Very cool, bro. Awesome story, Mike. Great story, thanks. Well, guys, I'm so glad. What's that time? It's past. Oh my word. How about that for timing, guys? Well, I'm really glad that you've enjoyed the story. I'm really, I feel incredibly blessed to have the opportunity to have that to look at and to cherish going forward as the biggest Paul McCartney and Beatles fan. I love all his solo stuff as well. Before I go, there's loads of lovely comments. Wow, Tall Thin Kev, he's got a oh, but have you got his guitar signed by Jeff Healey? No, I haven't. Actually, you might want to get it appraised for insurance. Yeah, the thing is, the other thing is, there's only my uncles say so on the Providence as well. So it really doesn't matter. I know it is. He's told me the story so many times. And actually, when you look at it, you can see that it's absolutely identical to so many of the other autographs that I've seen of Paul's. But no, I'm not going to get it. I'm not going to get it valued. I may put it on the household contents insurance. That's probably not a bad idea. Although if I lose it, it can never ever be replaced anyway. So yeah, it's kind of a moot point as well. Anyway, listen guys, I want to say a huge thank you to Stu, to Sean, to Monty and Andy. Don't forget to go and give my brother Randy Shartiger some love. Don't forget to watch Ben Coombs later on tonight. Look out for the shout out on Friday. There's a video coming on Friday. You might be interested, you might not, but check it out anyway, and I'll have the usual videos coming up. A huge thank you to all the guys who very kindly gave me super chats tonight. I really appreciate it. It's very kind of you. And I'm going to do the usual and say, you take good care.